Welcome to the 2022-2023 Valley Sports Club Phoenix Suns recap for October 19th through November 1st, 2022. And the Suns kicked off their season on October 19th against the Dallas Mavericks here at home, where the end result was a thrilling 107-105 victory. They would go on 2 nights later to play the Portland Trailblazers in Portland on October 21st. They would lose that game in overtime by just 2 points, 113-111. They have won every game since then, however, in Los Angeles against the Clippers, at home against the Warriors, here against the Pelicans, here against the Rockets, and of course here against the Minnesota Timberwolves on a long home stint. It has been a fun start to the season. I know there have been some concerns about Chris Paul. Jay Crowder has still not been on the move. Is DeAndre Ayton living up to his contract? With me here today, I have Michael Benjamin to help me break it all down. So, Michael Benjamin, let's get into it. What have you seen so far from the Phoenix Suns?
What a great start to the season, right? One of the things that we always try and say for our teams is get off on the right foot, get that good momentum started early. And, for this team, I think the good part about that was we get to have an extended homestand to start the season. And we're really getting the juices flowing. And, ever since that overtime loss to Portland, where Jock Landale had a chance to send it to double overtime, this team has just been in motion, like all systems are going and going smooth. There's only been one game, which was actually last night, a 116-107 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, where this team hasn't won by double digits and won pretty convincingly. Some of the things that we have seen to some of the lesser teams, I guess you could say, with New Orleans and Houston is they've let these teams kind of stick around. But in the fourth quarter, they put their foot on the gas and they pushed things forward. So one of the first things that we said about this season was Devin Booker was going to have to come out on a mission and start cementing his MVP candidacy early. And you can see 5 of the first 7 games, he's been the leading scorer, averaging 27.7 points a game. And, key contributors for guys who are supposed to take the next step have really started to show themselves early, like Mikal Bridges averaging 15.9 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. Under a steal a game, which is surprising, but he has been averaging 1.3 blocks a game. And then our new addition to the starting lineup, Cam Johnson, averaging 14.9 points, about 4 rebounds a game, and 2 assists as well. Really liked what he has started to establish within the starting lineup. The one thing that I'll say before I pass it back over to you, Chris, is I've never seen anybody fall on the ground more than Cam Johnson. He plays with reckless abandon some points, and it can be a little bit concerning, but he's leaving it all out there. So I can't blame him for that. I just think that he's going to have to start to understand the switches that he needs to take, because when he gets his head down and goes full force to the basket, it seems like no matter what, every time he's finishing at the basket, he's on the ground again. So we need to have him longevity for the season. So he just has to be a little bit careful about that. But other than that, I mean, it was a little bit of a slower start for him, but he came out on fire last night and kept the systems rolling last night. So great start to the season so far.
Yeah, I agree. I really like what I've been seeing. A lot of the plays we've seen where the Twins are hooking up Cam Johnson to Mikal Bridges on the fast break. This team is very active on the defensive end. I think there were some concerns about that, and there were concerns about the bench in general. But so far, I've been super happy with the way they've been playing. Specifically, like you said, some of those new additions, Jock Landale and Damian Lee, and even Torrey Craig has been surprising me a little bit. Not always things that'll show up in the stat sheet, but he's a guy that is a hustle player. And you talk about Cam Johnson being a hustle player. I feel like I'm with you there. There are the downsides, right? Because you want a guy that plays hard, which is a high upside. He's going to be diving for loose balls, laying it all out there. But at the same time, the downside is a potential for injury and putting yourself at risk of injury. And Cam Johnson's a guy that we're all in on. But I think you also were highlighting his early struggles there a bit. I think that goes to show how much Monty Williams will stick with his guns and stay by his guys. He's still getting the minutes. He's still out there 28 minutes a night, getting the playing time and getting those reps so that he can get back into a flow, because it is a kind of a game of runs, and that carries over game to game even sometimes. But something else I wanted to highlight, I did mention some people have concerns about the way Chris Paul has started the season. It doesn't seem like he's himself. He's maybe passing up on shots he otherwise would have taken, or I would have liked to have seen him take anyway. He's only averaging 10.1 points a game, but what I think is incredible is his 11 assists a game that he's averaging. That's a double-double every night, and those 11 assists are invaluable, especially when you talk about getting shooters like Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson involved. Even those guys off the bench, Damian Lee has been known to knock down the three. So the way we can spread the floor and the way Chris Paul has this court vision to see those guys and get them open, I think that'll be more beneficial than him taking a surplus of shots, getting the wear and tear. And we've talked about that on other podcasts here at Valley Sports Plug about Chris Paul and needing him for the long haul and making those playoff runs. But I'm really excited to see what happens here in the month of November and moving forward. It'll kind of start to get into a lull a little bit, I think, as we kind of go through the holidays. Of course, Christmas is a big event, but keep track of this Suns team, because right now we're in the top of the Western Conference at 6-1. We got 2 games against Portland coming up, and that will be a big deciding factor because they are the team in second place in the West right now.
Yeah, going back to what you said about Chris Paul, it just seems there's something a little bit off. And I don't know if it's just lingering issues from the end of last season and that, last couple of games in the playoffs. He's only averaging 10.1 points a game, but like you said, 11 assists and about 2 steals. So he's still contributing and doing the little dirty work things that you need from a guy who is going to be on the floor a lot. Unfortunately, his shooting percentages just aren't that great right now. About 36 from the field, 23% from three-point line. Watching that game against Minnesota last night, it almost looked like his mechanics are a little bit different in regards to his outside shot. It seemed like he was releasing a little bit higher, which was leading to some shorter shots. He did get it going down the stretch and made some key buckets to really put the game away. But, that could be what we're seeing right now. It's just a different guy. He's starting to fill within his role and understanding that, these other young guys are going to start to take the brunt of the work on the scoring. And that's what we need, right? We need these guys, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton, to be taking steps forward in the scoring department if we're going to have a really successful season and a good playoff push. Mikal Bridges is shooting 64% from the field right now. It seems like anything that he has within the paint or about from 12 to 16 feet, it's just cash money right now. I've been very excited to see what he's doing on the offensive end. And overall, as a team, this team defense has been very, very solid. Getting into passing lanes, being very aggressive on the outside, communicating very well on switches, and it's been showing where their defense is transitioning into offense, where they're having really open looks from the outside and basically getting what they want right now. So I'm excited to get Portland back to back, because right now our only loss is against them. So it'd be great to get, a nice 1-2 punch to get them back, push this team, going into Philadelphia, starting to cement more of a lead within this division, because down the stretch, that home court advantage is going to be so crucial, especially in the tough Western Conference.
Yeah, we definitely have a long road ahead of us, of course. Many games to be played against good teams. There's been a league shakeup this year. We were talking a little bit before about some teams out east. I like what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing with Donovan Mitchell. That'll be exciting and interesting to watch. But, Mike, I did have one last question for you, and maybe other Suns fans can comment below. for DeAndre Ayton coming back and being signed to the contract he has been signed to, playing 26 minutes a game on average, is 15.4 points and 8.2 rebounds good enough?
Overall, as a stat point, probably not, right? You're hoping that the guy can start to average 22 to 23 points a game with 12 rebounds. That's what a max player does. And for somebody with his skill level and height and body build, it's not out of the question. One of the issues that he's kind of started to see himself early in this season is kind of early foul trouble, which has kept his minutes down. He's averaging about 4 fouls a game, and some of those are early within games where he's missing long stints with the first unit and, just not able to stick out there because you want to have him down the stretch because you need him. He is your center anchor. I've been very impressed with what Jock Landale has been doing within his time frame and very, very impressed with what Bismack has been doing. He seems to be a guy who really understands what he's in there for, to be a bigger body, to contest in the paint. He's almost averaging over 2 blocks a game, it seems like.
Wow.
2.2 blocks a game. And, he'll take his shots when he gets them, but he knows that that's not what he's in there for. He's in there to be a defensive anchor and rebound the basketball. In the grand scheme of things, we need DeAndre Ayton. And since he went down with that ankle injury, there is no need to force him back early. Make sure he gets his rest, gets really set back up and in full health before he comes back onto the floor. And I think last night was a great testament to say, what was this team going to do in regards to a matchup with 2 big men like Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert? And the Suns held their own. A lot of it was because of team defense and keeping the ball from inside, positioning well on the boards, and, not allowing second chance opportunities. So you gotta pick up in those other areas when somebody goes down just like that. Last thing I'll say too, before I pass it back over to you, Chris, so you can lead us off, is the bench has been very pleasantly surprising. I've liked what Torrey Craig has done. He has some really good momentum on the offensive and defensive end right now. Landry Shamet just seems to be a glue guy. He's not putting up a lot of points, but he moves the ball really well, plays some great defense, and is just a cog for that second unit. In Campaign, you get what you get with Campaign. I've been liking his offensive spurts. I need him to hold on to the basketball right now. He's almost at 2 turnovers per game. And with his allotted amount of minutes, 16 minutes, I'm hoping for less than 1. But he's an aggressive style of player, so those turnovers are going to come with him, and he's been doing pretty good for that second unit as well. We do need another piece, and it will come with whatever happens with Jay Crowder. But obviously right now, with the way that this team is rolling, there's no force and there's no reason to not get what you want for Jay Crowder.
Correct. And I'm very much looking forward to the day where I get that trade notification to my phone that says that the Phoenix Suns have traded Jay Crowder, even if it's for a draft pick in 2029. Just let's get rid of him, get out of here. I do agree with you. We do need a piece. I hope we can get someone. I'm sure there's a partner out there. So if we got to wait a little bit, that's fine with me. But coming up, we got the Portland Trailblazers back-to-back at home to finish the long home stretch. Then we're on the road against Philadelphia, Minnesota, Orlando, Miami. We're back at home against Golden State before going back up to Utah. And I think we might be back for another recap around that time. So we will see. Make sure you follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Valley Sports Plug here on YouTube and Facebook, of course. For Michael Benjamin, I'm Chris Patrick. We'll see you next time.